Things are starting to look up as we tackle one of the toughest challenges in a local to global on TEW IX. Placed in the roaring 20s with toxic workers, inexperienced employees, and a massive company able to take our talent, it's going to take some seriously huge signings to be able to compete. We are turning a corner as a company, but plenty more obstacles await. We have reached the second half of 1926. First things first, the common conundrum has been our referee situation. However, the creator of the mod IF and Rule, he shot me a message. He told me, brother, fix your auto fix imbalances. Turn that thing on and you'll see some referees generate in your system. And so we are turning that thing on, and hopefully this will be the fix that we need. So as of right now, we did not generate any referees ourselves. We just got a gameplay tip from the man himself who created Effganic Genesis, IF and Rule. Thank you, brother. And with that being said, we've got some notifications to look over. Wayne Blankenship has in fact changed his body type, going from tone to muscular. The golden boy just continues to shine. Wayne Blankenship has been doing the right stuff, folks. Benson Sandy is now dating someone from outside the wrestling industry. Charlie Thompson has relocated to the Mid-South, so now he is gone from, I believe it was the Northwest, or maybe even Saskatchewan in Canada, down to the Mid-South, so he is now a local man, and we already saw this Levi Andrews opinion about Steven Vecchio last time. And that's all the admin that we have for now. Now we prepare for the amazing grappling spectacle 18. Our show performance is on the up and up, and that's got me feeling good. As for who receives the night off, we are probably going to go with Jamari Meese, Benson Sandy, and of course, our man, the Menace, Super Demon. The booking team meeting squared away, as well as our location, and now the locker room incidents. This is what keeps things interesting. Corey Edmonds, Keith Truax, blazing argument. Black Bull gotten a lot of heat with the rest of the locker room. Black Bull has got something going on every single month, it seems, and we've got a small positive impact upon Black Bull. That's what we need. He's happy at this action. We love to see it. Albie Dewberry's also gotten a lot of heat. We're going to give him a stern warning as well, and that's it. Okay, things are getting better. Things are turning around. We're going to inspire everyone and get ready for a great show. And to start the night off, we've got a brand new good-looking banner up there. But enough with the cosmetics. Neil Allman, Yavraj Tunnel, one-on-one, 8 minutes and 5 seconds is all it takes for Neil Allman to secure the victory. The show opener was designed to work the crowd. Neil Allman with an in-ring performance of 32 and Tunnel with a performance of 25, so pretty good. But then, of course, Tunnel seemed off his game. Drag in the middle, and then our usual suspects of the referee and road agent, bringing this down to a segment rating of 19. Wayne Blankenship, Kyson Mays, decent match. Wayne Blankenship takes care of business as the champion. He makes defense number 3 here, and the junior heavyweight championship belt is going to be like that workhorse belt, that television title almost, to where it consistently gets put on the line, whereas the World Heavyweight Championship is a little bit more elusive, so to speak. Wayne Blankenship in-ring performance of 28, Kyson Mays in-ring performance of 19, and another segment rating of 19 here, so not bad if these are the lower numbers in our show, but we'll just have to see what the rest of the night holds. We had an interview with Wayne Blankenship following his match, and Blankenship boasts his junior heavyweight championship defense and makes a warning to Albie Dewberry, telling him to stay out of his business if he knows what's good for him. And this is a reference to last month when Wayne Blankenship came down to spectate a match, and Albie Dewberry actually made his way out there as well. So tensions are definitely still there between Blankenship and Dewberry, despite their series allegedly being over. But the segment rating got us in 29, so nice job there, Blankenship. Next match, Levi Andrews and Keith Truax. And Levi Andrews defeated Keith Truax in 6 minutes 9 seconds. But the interesting part of this match is that we had Gary Cowell, Pickleman, down ringside in the managerial role for Levi Andrews. So there's a little bit of interesting aspect there. Levi Andrews turns in an in-ring performance of 37. Truax down at a 14. It did make for a segment rating of 23 though, but looking, and you can see that we just got a few things brewing up with Pickleman and Levi Andrews. After the match, Gary Cowell was seen embracing his role as manager after witnessing a lively crowd cheer for Levi Andrews. Gary Cowell raises the arm of the movie star as the two begin to head to the back. So Gary Cowell not used to seeing adoration from the fans and not used to being cheered for, but they were going crazy for Levi Andrews, and Gary Cowell was a part of that. He was on the good guy side, so to speak, and he loved it. He got a taste of something he wasn't used to, and he embraced it. So we've got that little development between these two, but we're going to move on. Next match, Alexander Keith, August Washburn. Alexander Keith takes care of business in a match rating that gets 24. Alexander Keith in-ring performance of 34, Washburn performance of 22. Washburn is not a bad competitor, and I would have liked to do a segment out of this, but we would have been in a penalty range with an improper range of angles to matches. August Washburn is calling out Alexander Keith for the disrespect that he served up to him, stating a few months ago that Washburn didn't deserve to be challenging Bronson Fraley for the heavyweight championship. Of course, he still got that match. He came up short. August Washburn basically telling Alexander Keith, I'm not going to let you throw me to the side and cast me off, write me off, anything like that. Alexander accepts the challenge. He comes out and he promptly puts a belt to the ass of August Washburn, taking care of business here. But it was an admirable performance, and August Washburn is not a bad competitor in the ring. You see, in-ring performance 22, a decent segment rating. After the match, the show climaxes after the match though. After Alexander Keith's victory, he makes a notion of a title belt around his waist. This is when Bronson Fraley makes his way to the entrance, and he immediately grabs the attention of the bootleggers and begins a slow pace towards the ring. Bronson Fraley heading down the entrance ramp. However, Black Bull and Frank Norris would make their appearances, and Bull would hold Fraley back, walking him back behind the entrance as the show comes to a close. So it looked like Bronson Fraley wanted the smoke with Alexander Keith. If you've seen the last episode, you would know that Bronson Fraley and Black Bull launched an attack on Alexander Keith that Frank Norris did not clear. Frank Norris was very unhappy about this whole thing, and it looked to be heading towards another physical confrontation between Fraley and Keith. However, Frank Norris and Black Bull, this time Black Bull in obedience to Frank Norris, they pull the champ back. They prevent any kind of physical altercation from happening, and that's how this show comes to a close. Segment rating of 35. You can see at the bottom we did have a dark match between Albie Dewberry and Kelvin Gebhardt, only got us a segment rating of 14, but the show netted an overall rating of 26. So our shows continue to see improvement. We are going to address the back. Alexander Keith was actually in a great mood, so we're going to address some other folks. Charlie Thompson is still angry, so we're going to give him a hug. And we're going to tell Levi Andrews that he is awesome. We are less than $200 negative after this show, so not too bad. Ticket sales over 360. Popularity still at 12 in the Mid-South, but we do see our spillover grow just a little bit, and we are 4 in the Southeast, moving up. And if you're enjoying the video, please leave a like down below. The engagement on this series is paramount to its continuation and the frequency it's uploaded. Thank you. And Yavraj Tanel, we've seen this from him before. He's got another booking complaint, but you know, brother, you really haven't turned in the best of matches. You do have decent experience though, and his Midwest popularity is 10. Amongst other places, it's 17 over in the Great Lakes. It's crazy that the T-Man is actually a somewhat recognized competitor around the territories. And you know, we might just see this thing turn around, this issue with Yavraj Tanel turn around with a character idea. We do have a safe bet here. Let's go ahead and use it on the T-Man. It was a success. He goes from very cold to cold momentum, and he goes from normal morale to now being pleased. So not too bad there. So not too bad of an outcome there. The last thing we do before we move into the next event is we're going to add one more head to our booking team, and that is the one, the only, Brian Hatcher. He's got a booking skill of 61, which isn't terrible, but it is going to be an addition. Levi Andrews has a booking skill of 31, but we're going to leave him off of the booking team. So we've got Brian Hatcher added. We are ready to move in to the next episode of the Amazing Grappling Spectacle. And starting with giving our gentleman the night off. And we're certainly not giving him the night off, but I just want to highlight that Alexander Keith is in fact very happy. But the only person we're going to give the night off to is Kelvin Gebhardt. And so the results of our booking team, we're getting about the same amount with 3 guys that we did with 2. So we'll have to see, we'll have to get a bigger sample size to truly see if we should roll with 3 or just 2. But this is going to allow us to buy some character ideas, which we are certainly going to do. We got a near certainty there, a big gamble, and a likely to succeed for Bronson Fraley. Locker room incidents, we have Kyson Mays brought before the wrestler's court, sentenced to buy ice cold Coca-Cola for everyone after the show, and definitely not alcohol. Keith Truax and August Washburn got into an argument, a huge row rather, excuse me. Gary Cowell turned up very late. We're going to give him a stern warning. And that's it. Okay, things are turning around as far as locker room incidents. I can appreciate that. We're going to pull a rib on our boy August Washburn, and we're going to do a practical joke. And he went from irritated to upset. I'm sorry, August. I thought you'd think it's funny. Apparently the joke's on me now because he's just irritated. So that's not terrible. And a big show is in fact in store, but we've got a dark match to get us started. Yaraj Tunnel picking up a victory over Steven Vecchio. Will this help his momentum? Probably not as much as he's hoping, but Tunnel does deliver an in-ring performance of 29, so that is something that you like to see. To start the show off, Frank Norris welcoming the crowd to a big event as he announces that a first for the Wham will take place tonight, as his boys, Bronson Fraley and Black Bull, will compete in tag team action against the Bootleggers. Really unfortunate, gets a segment rating of 7. Frank Norris has got no charisma whatsoever, so his solo promos do not do well. Moving on to the in-ring competition, Brian Hatcher defeating Benson Sandy in 6.5 minutes. This match, of course, was designed to work the crowd. Benson Sandy delivering a nice in-ring performance of 28, and he even seemed off his game. Bryant Hines had some good work ringside, and this match registers a segment rating of 15, so it's got to get better. Anything is an improvement from Frank Norris's abysmal promo to start the night. Now, Wayne Blankenship's match is set to get started. However, Albie Dewberry comes down to spectate this match, much to the champion's surprise and protest. However, no rules against Albie Dewberry sitting in the spectating area, so Dewberry will stay. This match will go on between Blankenship and Jamari Meese, and Jamari Meese would actually pick up the victory over the junior heavyweight champion Wayne Blankenship after a jawbreaker. After Albie Dewberry would distract Wayne Blankenship. And Jamari Meese is a heavyweight, defeating someone in a lower weight class, so this match doesn't have a ton of weight for Jamari Meese and Wayne Blankenship losing. It's not like he lost to another junior heavyweight or anything like that. But segment rating of 15, not the best match, but we move on. Neil Allman with a segment rating of 36. This one was much better. Neil Allman makes his way out to the ring in a scheduled strongman showing. We've seen him do this before, hesitantly. However, Neil Allman would request a microphone, and instead of posing and performing feats of strength, Neil Allman goes into detail of the conversation he and Frank Norris had months ago prior to the Derby. Neil Allman explains that Frank Norris was prepared to bring him into the group along with a lofty pay rise to throw his match against Bronson Fraley. Allman then exclaims that he will never take part in such shenanigans, and that had Frank Norris not sabotaged him during the tournament, he would be champion right now. As Allman vows to get revenge, his microphone is cut, bringing an end to the segment with the heavyweight visibly angry. So Neil Allman exposing Frank Norris for wanting Allman to throw his match against Bronson Fraley in the Derby tournament, and Frank Norris was prepared to compensate Neil Allman if he did such. However, Neil Allman is a good dude, and he does not give in to Frank Norris's evil ways. But the crowd loved this segment. Neil Allman does have some great charisma, unlike his boss. Next match, segment rating of 26, you knew Super Demon could do it. It had great heat, decent wrestling, and Levi Andrews actually defeated Super Demon in 5.5 minutes with a roll-up. Now, we see that Gary Kell distracted Super Demon, and what happens is Super Demon is very formidable in the ring. Levi Andrews, not so much, if we're being real. And Super Demon was doing work on the movie star, and it looked like Super Demon had things in control. However, Gary Cowell, the Pickle Man, stepping up, helping out his client, and really being a great manager here, opening opportunity for Levi Andrews to score the pinfall with a roll-up and keep Levi Andrews' win-loss record rather positive. So Super Demon does take the loss, and Gary Cowell did some good work at ringside, and of course Levi Andrews' in-ring performance of 38. Nice job to bring in a segment rating of 26 overall. Next segment is 25. It's getting ready for our main event. As the tag team main event is set to get started, the last entrant, Black Bull, stops halfway down the entrance ramp. He gives Bronson Fraley an ominous look before turning around and heading to the back, leaving the champion on his own. Fraley is extremely confused and flustered that he was left high and dry, but the bell would then ring and the match now began as a handicap match. So maybe a little bit of punishment from Frank Norris and Black Bull after the actions of Bronson Fraley last week. You know, they had to bring him back to the locker room before he got into some kind of physical altercation with Alexander Keith, you would only assume. So the heavyweight champion is tasked with a handicap match facing the Bootleggers, and we do not see the champion pull off the upset, as the Bootleggers defeated Bronson Fraley in 9 minutes and 53 seconds, and of course, Alexander Keith was the one to finish him off. Charlie Thompson, of course, was the weak link. He's not a main event competitor. However, you know, 21 isn't the worst thing for a man's third match or so, something like that. We just need his picture to come back. But we have some things advance, and I would add another angle, but again, ratios and all that. But Bronson Fraley is beaten down, and just at the glimpse of your eye, you see Frank Norris at the entrance ramp once again. So you could tell that this was the doing of the boss. What does this mean for Bronson Fraley, Frank Norris, Alexander Keith in the championship? Well, you're just going to have to stay tuned because we're going to continue to unpack that. Another pretty good show overall, rating of 25. The latter half of the card really picked it up, whereas the beginning of the card really kind of brought things down, unfortunately. Jamari Meese, I don't think he's going to have much more time here in the WAM. He continues to underperform in the ring, and he's a bad personality, and really he's just a liability to have to account for all the time. But moving on to address the locker room, of course, we're going to give Levi Andrews some more praise. And we're actually just going to do the same thing that we did last month and give Charlie Thompson a hug once more. Levi Andrews is happy, and Charlie Thompson, he seemed pleased with the speech. We shelled out $475 for the workers on this episode, so we lose $231. But overall, our shows are doing better. We move up to 13 popularity in the Mid-South. And you see here, the feedback has been that it was better than you'd expect from a company that tiny. So I'm feeling pretty good. I think things are turning around, and we're just going to continue to march on into the fall, through the winter, and I think we're going to complete 1926 in this episode. So moving on to some admin between shows, we're taking Jamari Meese. We are going to say goodbye to Mr. Meese. However, we're not just going to release him. We're going to restructure his contract to have one more appearance on it, and we're going to make that offer. I assume that he's going to agree with it, but after that, Jamari Meese will no longer be on the roster. Because like I've said, Jamari Meese has failed to do anything of note here, except for really not perform well in the spotlight when it's given to him. He was a big part of our heavyweight championship build, and the only match rating that he's gotten that was a 20 or higher was the heavyweight championship at the Spectacle of Amazing Grapples, our biggest show, the biggest match of our biggest show so far. And other than that, 1925 was filled with some stinkers for the boy. Things have gotten a little bit better, but I mean, you see, we put him in the ring with probably our top 4 guys consecutively: Bronson Fraley, Alexander Keith, Neil Allman, and Wayne Blankenship, and he did not really do that great. So, Jamari Meese, thank you for your contributions early on, but your selfish personality is no longer welcome here. And there is one more guy that I am after. We have created one more wrestler into this database, and he's not a bootlegger. No. He is Robert Todd Lincoln Beckwith. You may recognize him as the last descendant of Abraham Lincoln. Yes, the President of the United States. Abraham Lincoln was actually a well-established grappler in his days, pre-politician. Robert Todd Lincoln Beckwith, or his in-ring name R.T. Lincoln, is setting off to follow in his great-grandfather's steps as a formidable wrestler. Maybe not being president, but man, this man's gonna lock it up. So we're going to send him a contract, and I assume that we'll hear back from him rather soon. I found out that he was 5'10". I could not figure out his weight, so we just went with 200 pounds. Pretty generic. He's got a little bit of skills. I gave him 5 experience given his great-grandfather's experience. Mostly everything else was randomly generated. We gave him 15 business reputation. He does have 15 popularity in the Midwest and the according spillover that would be attached to that. His attributes: easily marketable as the descendant of the President of the United States, or a former President of the United States rather, professional, and a smoker. So hopefully we will see this man on the WAM very soon. And yes, he does in fact accept the signing, so we've got a new signee to the roster, and his name is R.T. Lincoln. Yeah! And while he is happy, we're going to talk to him, and we're going to see if he'd be willing to get in better shape. He's not really interested. Alright, well, that's unfortunate. Maybe later on down the line. And this man doesn't have a gimmick either, so we'll give him something realistic, and we got to give him something interesting. So we're going to roll with the last descendant, as it is also factual. But that does bring us to our next event, the Amazing Grappling Spectacle 20. Can you believe it? 20 iterations of the Amazing Grappling Spectacle already. And the only person we're going to give the night off to is Kyson Mays tonight. And then, of course, our booking team meeting got 144. So yeah, we're sticking right about where we were beforehand with just 2 people. Albie Dewberry gets a bit of a gamble, a big gamble for an unspecified worker, and a bit of a gamble for an unspecified worker. We got one more and a big gamble. Whole bunch of gambles. Not great haul there. And the locker room incidents. R.T. Lincoln, this is his first night, and Kelvin Gebhardt, the bully of the locker room, getting in someone's face. Kelvin Gebhardt is another name that may not be here for too much longer. We've got more Wrestlers Court going on, small positive impact, and then Kelvin Gebhardt got into a heated argument with a fan. We're going to find the boy. He had a small positive impact. And he's happy at this action. Okay, the man just needed to be disciplined, maybe. Rohan Settle spreading rumors about Jamari Meese that almost led to a fist fight. Jamari Meese, this is his last night here. Just coexist, brother. Benson Sandy almost got into a fight with Black Bull after damaging his rental car, his rental Model T. Okay, those were a pretty penny around this time. Albie Dewberry turned up very late, breaking locker room rules. He's currently irritated. We're gonna fine him. Okay, that's gonna be it. That's all that happens. We're going to pull a rib. Hopefully we don't upset anybody. We tend to upset people when we do this. But we're gonna bring it back to August Washburn. We're gonna do a practical joke. It's gonna work this time. And he was upset once more. August Washburn, not the one to be doing those two, but I digress. We'll get into the show here. Let's go. Getting us started is a dark match, and RT Lincoln's debut in a really surprising dark match, actually. Segment rating of 23, and RT Lincoln had an in-ring performance of 25. He was going up against Neil Allman. He is one of the better performers on the roster, but his last Descendant gimmick has gotten an initial rating of awful. That is very unfortunate. Good way to start off the man's career. We will continue to use him in some dark matches before we throw him right into the main show. But to start the main show, a segment rating of 15, maybe we should have swapped these bad boys. But we've got a decent match between Benson Sandy and Jamari Meese, as Jamari Meese does the JOB on his way out. Benson Sandy with an in-ring performance of 33. He always does well in the ring. And Jamari Meese an in-ring performance of 17, and he always does mediocre. And that's why this is his last appearance here in the WAM. Brian Hines did do some good managerial work ringside, and the match got the show off to a strong start. Next segment, Wayne Blankenship taking part in a strongman presentation, performing feats of strength. I don't know why I can't type the word strength properly, and wowing the crowd given his smaller stature. He also flashes the Junior Heavyweight Championship. Segment rating of 20, nothing too much, just a little bit of popularity boost, hopefully, for our Junior Heavyweight Champion. Next match between Gary Cowell and Super Demon. This was not a good match. It was very unfortunate. They do not click whatsoever, but it was a decent match, 10 minutes long, and Super Demon wins the match via submission after Gary Cowell gets a little distracted from his partner, Levi Andrews, who was there ringside. And so Super Demon picks up a victory in the Junior Heavyweight division. Gary Cowell faces a setback on his own little reinvention of himself. But we do have a segment rating of 39 that builds things back up when Gary Cowell, shocked by his loss, has an exchange with Levi Andrews as he was looking for a bit more support, but Levi Andrews was busy interacting with fans and working the crowd. More just self-absorbed actions from Levi Andrews and that massive ego getting in the way a little bit. Next match, segment rating of 24, you love to see it. Albie Dewberry and August Washburn, two good in-ring performers, so it's not too surprising. Albie Dewberry picks up the victory over August Washburn by submission, and he had an in-ring performance of 35. Washburn had an in-ring performance of 22. Nice job here. The match did get the crowd hotter. And in the segment to follow, Albie Dewberry briefly grabbed the mic, taking a verbal jab at Wayne Blankenship, stating that beating a heavyweight isn't that hard for the best junior heavyweight in the division, in another attempt to get under the champion's skin. If you remember, just a few minutes ago, we covered that Wayne Blankenship lost to Jamari Meese last month in the cross-division competition. So, Albie Dewberry getting one up on a heavyweight and making sure Wayne Blankenship knows about it. Next segment, Frank Norris, Black Bull. We gotta stop putting Frank Norris in these segments where he's speaking by himself. In an attempt to save face a little bit, Frank Norris announces that due to Neil Allman's slanderous words last month, he has been suspended indefinitely. We don't know when we're going to see Neil Allman outside of dark matches because we want to continue to get this man some experience. We're not going to just keep him on the shelf. We will put him in the dark matches, but those are totally out of canon, so don't mention it. But I digress. We're going to continue on. The main event is a segment rating of 23, and Bronson Fraley gets a shot at Charlie Thompson. Alexander Keith was not allowed to interfere in this match. We're going to get a little bit more elaboration next month at the next show. However, Bronson Fraley, there's not a ton of clarification whether Bronson Fraley is in the good graces of Frank Norris or not. Either way, he does get his hands on Charlie Thompson here, and he gets a victory. Charlie Thompson only an in-ring performance of 16, whereas Bronson Fraley turns in a performance of 35. So we do overall get a segment rating of 23. So Charlie Thompson, we'd like to see a little bit better, but he does hold his own in the main event. So all in all, the show gets a rating of 25. We're doing well there, but we do want to see a little bit more of an improvement. I'm looking for a 30. Can we get a 30 now? But the main event was all right. We had a good segment with Levi Andrews, and then Albie Dewberry and August Washburn turning in a good performance. So to address the locker room, Wayne Blankenship and Super Demon are going to receive some praise. Our popularity does move from 13 to 14 in the Mid-South, and Jamari Meese has officially left the Wham. Goodbye, brother. We do have some creative ideas that we're going to get into. We've got a near certainty, and we are going to use this on Charlie Thompson, hopefully to bring this man out of the angry state. It was a success. He's gone down from angry to annoyed, so that is a good sign. We'll take that. We do have a few character-specific creative ideas as well, like Albie Dewberry's. It's a bit of a gamble. Bronson Fraley's got one that's likely to succeed, but everything else is a gamble. And Bronson Fraley's got great momentum, and he's actually pretty happy, so we don't need to use that just yet. And just like that, we are preparing for another edition of the Amazing Grappling Spectacle, this time the 21st edition, and giving the night off. We are actually going to go with Neil Allman, and I think that's actually going to do it for the night. We're going to hang on to everybody else. We purchased a few character ideas, and now getting into our backstage incidents, Kyson Mays got into a heated argument. We're going to fine him. Gary Cowell caused an incident when he antagonized Rahan Suttle. We're going to stern warning. And then Levi Andrews and Alexander Keith had a blazing argument. That one's a little bit of a surprise. Both are very happy. Or both are happy, I should say. Alexander Keith is very happy. But that's going to do it. The incidents are becoming less and less, and I love it. We're going to inspire the locker room because we've got a couple big matches that I've got planned here tonight. And that night is going to begin with a dark match between August Washburn and Yavraj Tunnel. Yavraj Tunnel turning in an in-ring performance of 27 and August Washburn a performance of 17. Tunnel picking up the victory here. The actual show is set to get started with a Levi Andrews promo welcoming the crowd to tonight's event, citing that this will be a historic night given that he will be competing for the Junior Heavyweight Division Championship in the main event. Levi Andrews would end his short promo by congratulating the crowd for being in attendance to witness a major feat. The crowd got off to a great start. Segment rating of 47 turned in by Levi Andrews. That man is money when he is solo with the mic in his hands. Unfortunately, the match that followed wasn't great, as it only garnered a segment rating of 15, but it was a wild brawl between Black Bull and Charlie Thompson. Both men are proficient in brawling, or at least the most proficient of all their skills are brawling. Black Bull in-ring performance of 26, he wins the match, though he sustained a blown eardrum. Hopefully Charlie Thompson doesn't sustain too much heat for being the one that injured him. Super Demon and RT Lincoln in a match. You know, I said that RT Lincoln was not going to be a part of the main show for a while, but he's actually turning in some good in-ring performances, and he's got a segment rating of 24 here. And Super Demon coming out on top here. He turned in an in-ring performance of 33, so well done by both of these guys to produce a good match here. Up next, Benson Sandy and Kyson Mays in some cross-division action. 44 in-ring performance from Benson Sandy. That may be one of the biggest numbers that we've seen from anybody. Kyson Mays was off his game, only had an in-ring performance of 22, but these two have some great chemistry, and we may need to revisit this for sure. They got a segment rating of 23, so overall, nice job. Well done here, boys. Big segment coming up next. Frank Norris is in the ring with Bronson Fraley. Norris acknowledges that Fraley is likely looking for some clarification on his standing with Frank Norris. Frank Norris assures Fraley that he is still his golden boy, but he must learn that Frank Norris calls the shots around here, and if Fraley intends on being successful, he needs to jump when Norris says jump, and only then. Fraley's at a loss for words and clutches his title, looking conflicted. Frank Norris would then add that Fraley's final reprimanding for his actions is a match that has never been seen before in the Wham, as Fraley will have to defend his heavyweight championship in a no-holds-barred match, meaning anything goes, and there must be a definite winner. He had trouble typing again. Alexander Keith then makes his way to the entrance ramp, looking confident and ready for a fight. Nothing happens here, but Alexander Keith is getting the title shot that he's been waiting for. Bronson Fraley in a bit of hot water with Frank Norris, but Frank Norris says that he's still his golden boy, so hard to say what exactly is going to happen between these three. Getting ready for our main event, Albie Dewberry is once again interested in seeing Wayne Blankenship's match and comes down to get a first-hand look. So Dewberry once again spectating in on Blankenship's match, and we've got Levi Andrews, Wayne Blankenship for the Junior Heavyweight Division Championship. Had great heat, good wrestling, and Wayne Blankenship came out on top in just under 6 minutes here. During the match, we had Gary Cowell distract Levi Andrews. Gary Cowell was trying to do a little bit too much in the managerial spot. Wayne Blankenship has defended the Junior Heavyweight Championship division for the 4th time in this match, turned in an in-ring performance of 29, Levi Andrews with an in-ring performance of 37. And our main event, I thought it was going to be maybe just a little bit higher, but it's still a pretty dang good match for where we're at with our company. Segment rating of 26 as Wayne Blankenship once again defending his championship successfully. And don't forget that we've got Albie Dewberry ringside as well. And that's going to lead to this final segment where Blankenship's championship defense seems to be dampened with the presence of Albie Dewberry. Blankenship with the notion to Dewberry, who has not moved from his spectator spot, and Blankenship told his rival that if he wants a fight, he's got it. So Blankenship's feeling good after another successful defense, and he's tired of seeing Albie Dewberry sticking his nose around. So we've got a fight coming up with Dewberry and Blankenship on our last event of the year. So we're going to finish the show. Our show rating got a 30. I was looking for a 30 and we got a 30. We had a attendance of 75 people and we continue to improve. And this is the growth, the progress that you want to see. Levi Andrews smashing it out of the park with a promo rating of 47. We had a wild brawl that didn't do great, but the rest of the night was actually pretty solid. From Super Demon and RT Lincoln all the way up to Wayne Blankenship and Levi Andrews. So we're feeling good about the direction that the WAM is headed, and we've got one more event in this episode, guys, so stick around. But as far as addressing the locker room, Benson Sandy deserves some praise because that man had a great performance. And then also Wayne Blankenship, who is really the workhorse of the whole company, let alone the junior heavyweight division, and I've been saying that it was going to be that way. We do have Black Bull. He can work through his blown eardrum. It's only going to last a week, so he's going to be good by the time we even have our next event. Unfortunately, the morale will probably linger much longer than that, though. Financial report, down $186 after making $375 in ticket sales. Popularity boosts up from 14 to 15, and the feedback has been very positive. Just objectively positive, not even for a small company. Let's go, boys. Good job. And no other admin to take care of. We have just got the final show of 1926 ahead of us. The Amazing Grappling Spectacle 22. And we are set to make this a great show. I genuinely am treating this like a pay-per-view, like a special event, like something of the sorts, because we've got a few big matches on deck, and I'm looking forward to it. And we'll give Kelvin Gebhardt the night off. He's had quite a few nights off as of late. And Kyson Mays as well, as those are a couple of our problematic personalities here. And that's going to do it for us there. Solid booking team meeting resulting in some character ideas. Albie Dewberry's gotten a lot of heat with the rest of the locker room due to an attitude. We're going to give him a stern warning. Had a small negative impact upon him. Super Demon antagonizing Brian Hatcher. Fight almost broke out. Warning. That's it. All right, you love to see it. We're going to try to pull a rib. We're 0 for 2, I think, on this episode, but hopefully Brian Hatcher thinks this is funny. It's gone well with the rest of the locker room, and Brian Hatcher has taken it in good humor as well, so thank you, sir. And the last thing we're going to do before this show gets started is we are going to use a creative idea on Bronson Fraley, and he moves from normal to pleased morale, and we're also going to use a creative idea on our boy Benson Sandy. Where is it at? There we go. Likely to succeed. It does succeed, and he goes from normal to pleased. You love to see it. Now, without further ado, getting into the dark match of the Amazing Grappling Spectacle 22, we've got some big names here in the pre-show match, as Neil Allman defeats Super Demon with a segment rating of 21 in the pre-show match, fellas. Neil Allman gets a segment rating of 36, Super Demon in-ring performance of 32. Nice job there. And then we've got Black Bull and RT Lincoln. RT Lincoln is putting in some nice numbers, and I'm liking what I'm seeing here out of our most recently created and signed wrestler, the descendant of Abraham Lincoln. That's right. Segment rating of 21. Black Bull actually had an in-ring performance of 29 and RT Lincoln in-ring performance of 19. So nice job, Black Bull. He actually stood out here. Up next, segment rating of 24 as the Wham holds the very first tag team match in company history. We were supposed to have it a couple months ago, but Black Bull and Frank Norris, they said, nah, son. They backed out of that one, and we've got Gary Cowell and Levi Andrews defeating Bryant Hines and Benson Sandy. Bryant Hines was able to get through the match without hurting anybody. Benson Sandy had an in-ring performance of 36, and he was even off his game. So we might have some kind of special attention for Benson Sandy coming through here soon. But overall, the team of Cowell and Andrews pick up the W here. Next match, things continue to improve and you love to see it. Albie Dewberry, Wayne Blankenship. Segment rating of 26 as Dewberry turns in an in-ring performance of 33, Blankenship 30. We know these two have great chemistry, and you thought that these two were duking it out for the Junior Heavyweight Division Championship. So did Albie Dewberry. However, Blankenship clocked Albie Dewberry during his celebration. Wayne Blankenship would then note that this match was a non-title match. Oh, I had a typo here, but citing Dewberry's desire for a fight whether the title was on the line or not, according to his own words. Dewberry getting shysted here out of the championship that he should have been awarded here after this victory, but Wayne Blankenship says I was never putting the title up on the line, and that is how Wayne Blankenship stays the champion, despite Albie Dewberry being the one to pick up the victory. Now our main event, we really had to skate around some stuff here. We had it set up one way, but Alexander Keith just was not going to allow it. So we had to shoot ourselves in the foot a little bit because I knew the ending was going to get some flack. But this was for the heavyweight championship, and Alexander Keith was absolutely bringing it to Bronson Fraley. Things were not looking good for Frank Norris's Golden Boy. We had good performances from Keith and Fraley, setting up for a good segment rating, but unfortunately, the ending just killed the crowd because they did not appreciate it. And here's the explanation. Frank Norris has the match stopped, despite Alexander Keith in clear control, once again citing a time limit that was never established. Frank Norris states that the ending of the match is inconsequential as Alexander Keith's actions have finally caught up to him. Frank Norris steps aside to reveal a squadron of police officers ready to take Alexander Keith away. In a shocking turn of events, Alexander Keith is arrested and Bronson Fraley is announced as the unanimous winner and has successfully defended the title. Norris would then go to the ring to celebrate with Fraley, who seems to be going through a state of confusion and shock. So Frank Norris, he in the end had Bronson Fraley's back. Frank Norris was anticipating this kind of outcome. He was anticipating a hard lesson being taught to Bronson Fraley, but overall, keeping his champion the champion, just like he wants it. And he got Alexander Keith and Charlie Thompson, I didn't write it down because I was running out of space, but Charlie Thompson also arrested. So the bootleggers, more or less, being taken out of the Wham as 1926 comes to an end here at the Wrestling Association of Mid-South. That is quite an ending to the show. 2 title matches getting phantom endings, and our main event, we were on track for a fantastic show, but the main event truly brought it down. But we still take home the overall rating of 20, so I'll take it. Not what we wanted, but I will take it. And our championships are going to receive hugs after tonight, and they were pretty pleased with that. $405 in ticket sales. We are almost profiting, boys. Almost profiting. Our popularity stays at 15 in the Mid-South, but the spillover does improve. And all in all, that is how 1926 will come to an end at the Wham. Stay tuned for the next episode, as we have got the Derby coming back up, as well as the Spectacle of Amazing Grapples, the biggest show of the year. So while there were some huge endings tonight, things are only getting started in terms of our stories. So thank you for watching, everyone. I appreciate you guys joining in on this journey. Leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and for the Real One Patreon members, In Your Face 16, Felicity Rosalia, Supreme King, Douglas 91, Daniel Silva, Mr. Drago, and I Am Tubes. Thank you guys for being awesome, and I appreciate your support so much. Otherwise, everyone else, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take it easy.